Hello everyone, Emily Johnson here for the Art of Senior Fitness Program Design, Part 1, Take 2. We had some technical difficulties yesterday, so I think have them all figured out, and we'll proceed today as we would have yesterday. So just give a moment. If you've just joined because you see Emily's live, then feel free to stick around if you work in seniors in any capacity. I'm just going to take a moment as people might be joining and just get myself set up on the back end here. As I said, there's a bit that goes into this on the back end to make sure that that everything is going as planned. So let's see. And I'm going to check. So we should be live to both Facebook and LinkedIn today. Good. I see we are live on Facebook, and hopefully we will be live on LinkedIn very soon here. If not, I will just repost to LinkedIn and we'll go from there. All right, so again, welcome everyone, and this is the Art of Senior Fitness Program Design. So if you work with seniors in any capacity, whether that be community setting, senior living, fitness, or you want to, definitely join me for this series and for the next 30 minutes today. And since we are talking about fitness, I feel like it's only fair that we do start off with just a little bit of fitness. So I am going to ask you to join me and to just push away from your table, your chairs, wherever you're at, and follow along with me. I promise there's a method to my madness, so join me, and I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on later. So I'll put this down so you can see my feet, and here we go. All right, so we're going to start with just a couple nice deep breaths in. So let's take a nice deep breath in, reach the arms up and down. And if you can't reach the arms up, then you can feel free to just reach them straight out to the front. Excellent. And back down. Very good. All right, now we're going to go to the toes. We're going to go right, left, double. Good. Then left, right, double. Very good. So we're going single, single, two on the right, single, single, two on the left. Now we're going to add on. Let's try it. Single, single, double, and again, single, single, double. Now two on the right. Sorry, four on the right. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Now let's stand up. Be careful, you're sitting at a chair. You're going to lose my head, but that's okay. 4 heel digs. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then have a seat. And again with 4 heel digs. 4, 3, 2, 1. Wonderful. All right. Very good. I'm going to pull back up to the screen here. I told you it would be painless. So that's all I was going to have you do. And I'm going to just start by posing the question of, why did I make you do this? And it's a rhetorical question, but basically, we do know that fitness has all of these amazing benefits. So you'll see the first one there, increase attention and information processing. The brain and the body are not separate. They work together. So when you get the blood pumping through the body, it also is getting pumped through the brain as well. Okay, so you can see the image there looks kind of just bluish green, and then after 20 minutes of physical activity, you see the brain is colorful and full of energy. So I'm hoping to start you off making sure you're with me, your brain is working. Next, positive emotional state. So we do have endorphins that get released when we exercise, and that helps to elevate our mood, make us feel better, more energized. So maybe today it's been a long first week back at the start of the year, so maybe you just need that little pick-me-up. So hopefully you've got those happy endorphins running, and maybe you were laughing at yourself too. Maybe you did not do the same movements that I was doing, and maybe you had a good laugh at that. And of course, there is the physical benefits that we all know about physical activity and exercise. So we do know that sitting is the new smoking. So you're welcome for getting you out of your chair and getting you moving just a little bit. And why is this topic so important? Well, most of us who work with seniors or want to work with seniors know that by 2030, over 9.5 million seniors in Canada, 90% of which have at least one chronic condition, and 1/3 of experiences a fall each year. So these are really, just the physical benefits of ensuring that we have really great senior fitness programs across the country, as well as, across the world, really. But further to that, there's so many other benefits, which I already kind of alluded to today: the intellectual, the emotional. People are worried about getting Alzheimer's and dementia. People are lonely. So there's a lot of far-reaching benefits when it comes to physical activity as well. So today, the series is called The Art of Senior Fitness Program Design. And before we can get into the real art, as any artist does, you do have to learn the basics. So today's webinar is going to be about starting with those basics. And I put this up on the screen here, this saying, because I feel like we've gotten to maybe a precarious cycle as it relates to senior fitness. And some of these thoughts are really, really well-meaning, but what I want to do today is just challenge you a little bit to maybe think about the things that you've learned about aging and exercise and seniors. So a lot of us, maybe have a misconception that at a certain age, we're no longer able to do certain things. People might say, and I'm sure if you work with seniors now, you've heard it, oh, I'm 86, I can't possibly do that anymore. So people have these thoughts, and then they say those words, and those words lead to lack of physical activity, which then leads to further physical decline, which leads to a whole host of issues. And that's on the older adult side. If we look at the caregiver or the individual supporting seniors, they might think as well, take it easy, don't work yourself too much, don't exercise, you're past that in your life. And again, this attributes to that forward spiral of losing the, maintaining and losing functional ability. So throughout as we go here, I'm going to try to challenge those beliefs and see if we can make 2020 the year that we really help seniors take control of their physical fitness. So anyone who knows me knows that this is my biggest pet peeve. It's seniors' little advertisements, images of seniors stretching. And the reason that this drives me nuts is because people think that this is what a senior fitness class should be. It's gentle exercise, it's stretching. And today I really want to spend time, again, pushing that notion and showing you that really it needs to be much, much more. So we're going to start by just talking about a few common myths about aging and exercise. And the first is I'm too old. If I've heard this once, I've heard it a million times. And, people say, oh, I'm 86, I'm 90, I can't do that. And really the research tells us that older exercisers are able to see increases and gains similar to younger exercisers. So really our muscles don't know how old we are. They are going to react to what is the tensions and the resistance that are placed upon them, and they adapt accordingly. And if we take away those tensions and resistance, then they're going to atrophy or shrink or lose their strength. And it's funny as well, because I've met 90-year-olds, 100-year-olds who are in fact sometimes in better shape than some of the 60, 70, 80-year-olds that I meet as well. So really, age is just a number, and I'm sure if you talk to any older adult or senior, most of them would agree with you as well. Also, chronic conditions. People think, oh, I've got a chronic condition, I can't take part in exercise, my knees, I got a sore shoulder. And again, what the research tells us is that most chronic conditions can benefit from taking part in regular physical activity. So most people talking to their doctor always first, but most people's doctors would tell them that they can see benefit from taking part in physical activity. And lastly, it could be dangerous. I know we've heard the stories of the, most times it's a younger person. It's someone who's 50 and they have a heart attack on Monday morning at work at the desk. Or it's a young basketball player who, goes down on the court, and we think, wow, they have a heart condition, and they were, one was exercising, one was just sitting at the desk. It could be dangerous for me to exercise. But once again, if you talk to your doctor, most times they're going to recommend that you do take part in some physical activity. And just one study that I'll bring up, which I absolutely love, is a study where one group, the whole group has a heart condition, and one group needs a stent. So the surgeon goes in, they open up a blockage in the heart, and they put in a stent to keep it open. And then they go back to their normal physical activity, their normal lifestyle. And then we have another group who actually take part in 20 minutes a day on an exercise bike and a once weekly aerobics class. And we look at those people a year later, we actually found that 88% of the group who exercised were event-free, compared to only 70% of the group who received the stent. So that's pretty remarkable in the fact that something like exercise actually was more impactful than getting the stent. So I love that. And then of course, the person who went to the exercise program is going to get all the benefits of now being social with a group of people at that exercise program. They're going to get the benefits of maybe weight loss and feeling better about themselves, encouraging their family to get active as well. Whereas the other group, they're going to have some, post-surgery limitations, and they're going to have to take it easy as they do with surgeries. So lots of benefit, more than just the physical. Now, I said we have to start with the basics. So I want to start with Canada's physical activity guidelines. And most recreation, wellness, fitness professionals that I talk to have no problem rattling off Canada's physical activity guidelines for older adults. But let's just review them for review's sake. So 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity in bouts of 10 minutes or more. 2 days per week of muscle and bone strengthening activities for the major muscle groups. Physical activity to improve balance and prevent falls. The World Health Organization recommends 3 days per week for this. And more physical activity provide greater benefits. Okay, so pretty easy. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with those guidelines, but where we fall down sometimes is in truly recognizing if the senior fitness program that we oversee or help support is truly meeting all the nitty-gritty little details of those guidelines. So what I like to do a test, do a check of your organization is a FITT audit. And the FITT audit comes from the FITT principle, which stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply these principles to Canada's physical activity guidelines. And here's a great time where if you want to grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, and kind of just think about your organization and where you might be hitting the standards, and that's amazing, or where you might be falling short, and that's okay too, because once you realize where you're falling short, that's when you can do what's necessary in order to make the proper improvements. All right. So I think we're doing good. I'm just double checking our feeds here. Everything looks good. No one telling me that we're having any wonky issues as we were yesterday. So let's continue on here. All right, so we're going to start with 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity per week in bouts of 10 minutes or more. Now, the type of activity. of the FITT, F-I-T-T, type. So aerobic activity, aerobics classes, walking, cycling, anything that's going to get the heart and lungs pumping. Excellent. Next, we know the time is 150 minutes per week. Okay, we're going to come back to that one. And then moderate to vigorous. So from a scale from 1 to 10, we want to see about a 5 to a 7. So if you're at that moderate to vigorous intensity, you should be able to talk, but you might be a little bit breathy, but you wouldn't be able to sing. So with this one, I always challenge that if you have a walking group and your group could also double as a sing-along or a choir, you guys are not working at the intensity you need to in order to hit this guideline. So very important is that you do want to ask people, hey, how are you feeling? Are you able to tell me how you're feeling? But you wouldn't be able to sing it to me. So that's a really important part of this guideline. Now, I said we would go back to the time. The reason for that is in order to find our frequency, we actually have to decide how much time we're going to spend doing that moderate to vigorous intensity. So I'm going to use the example today of 20 minutes per day hitting the intensity. And the reason I want to put 20 minutes per day is you can think about your group and what your group is able to achieve. So think about it. Would they be able to sustain that kind of breathy, not being able to sing pace for 20 minutes? So typically that would be about a 30-minute walking group or a 30-minute aerobics class. And the reason for that is that we also have to take into account the warm-up and the cool down at the end. And typically warm-ups need to range from 5 to 10 minutes. We would never want to see any group at any age just kind of taking off and starting to hit that moderate to vigorous pace. We need to have that warm-up where we allow our heart and our lungs to start to adapt to the new demands placed on the body. Because as anyone's anticipated, when we go from sitting to doing physical activity, we're going to need to, your body's going to kind of freak out a little bit. Oh my gosh, what's happening? We're not sitting anymore. And so it's going to start to constrict and dilate blood vessels and arteries to put those nutrients to where they need to go to help you do that activity. So let's say you're going to do a 30-minute walking group per day. That's a little bit of a warm-up at the beginning to meet your intensity. And then at the end, you're going to do a cool down, which means you're slowly going to gradually decrease your intensity or speed of your walking. And then you might do a stretch just to make sure you don't have sore hamstrings and quads the next day especially. So always a good idea to end with a stretch at the end of any of your physical activity. So 20 minutes per day, that frequency is going to give you 7.5 days per week. Okay, so really 30 minutes per day of that walking group and an extra 10 minutes on one of those days, maybe 45 or a 60-minute group on one of those days. Okay, so I don't see anything coming in questions-wise right now. If you do have any questions, please feel free. I'll just kind of refresh my page here and make sure everything's working. Good, everyone looks great, and we'll continue on here. So we're going to go on to 2 days per week of muscle and bone strengthening activities for the major muscle groups. So first off, what kind of activity are we doing? So strengthening exercises, so that could be body weight exercises, it could be weights, it could be bands, equipment, and we want to use the major muscle groups. And those groups are the biceps here, triceps, shoulders, your chest, your back, your abdominals, and of course you can't see my legs, but glutes is your bum, your hamstrings on the front of your legs, your quadriceps on the back, gastrocnemius on your calves, and your anterior tibialis runs along the front of your shins. So generally speaking, those are the accepted major muscle groups that you're going to want to engage 2 times per week as part of your strengthen program. So as I said, 2 days per week, it's written right there in the standard. We want to do that. And time. So we're not going to time in minutes, but about 8 to 12 repetitions is typically what you'd like to see. And further to that, for intensity, for those 8 to 12 repetitions, you want to choose a resistance where the last few repetitions are difficult to complete. So if I'm doing a set of 10, I want to see people start to struggle at 8, 9, 10. Done. Okay, if they could go on for 15 or 20 repetitions or more, we need to increase that weight, definitely. Now, if you're looking at your organization's offering, if you're thinking, hey, we're not really offering any muscular or bone strengthening exercises for the major muscle groups, a good thing to do then is to engage an instructor who has the proper training in this area. I'll do a little plug for Stronger You Senior Fitness right now. If you do want to be the one to offer the program to the seniors that you work with, then Stronger You Senior Fitness, we provide you with 30 minutes of pre-choreographed content. You just learn it and teach it exactly as outlined. So if you're looking to take that next step, definitely visit strongeryouSeniorFitness.com to learn more about that. Before we move on from this guideline, I also want to make a comment about bone strengthening. So you think, okay, how do I strengthen my bones? Really, any resistance you're going to put on your muscles is also going to strengthen your bones. But I want to make a comment about aquatic exercise, because we can have strength-based aquatic exercise where we're using the dumbbell floaties in the pool, we're working things like the shoulders, we're working the biceps, but those are not bone strengthening exercises because there's no gravity in the pool. So really important. I know aquatic exercise is very popular amongst the older adult population, but those older adults, especially females at risk of osteoporosis, need to get on land as well and do that weight-bearing exercise as well. Okay, great. Moving on to physical activity to improve balance and prevent falls. So the World Health Organization tells us that we should do this at least 3 days per week. And the type of activity might actually surprise you a little bit. You might think of balance as standing on one leg and balancing, but when we stand on one leg and balance, we're really only getting good at standing on one leg and balancing. To truly increase balance and prevent falls, we need to do the things that help us in our everyday life. So most falls happen when an older adult gets up quickly from a chair to do things like answer a phone or go to the washroom, or maybe navigating on uneven surfaces. So really, where it comes to preventing falls, you want to do things that help you improve your walking, improve your lower body muscular strength, and improve your coordination. So programs such as beanbag toss, ladder ball, Wii bowling, other physical games, darts, these are things that are going to help with coordination, which ultimately help improve balance and prevent falls. And as a double whammy, if you are doing something like walking, you're also going to help get your 150 minutes a week. If you're also doing strength exercises for the lower body, you're also going to be getting that muscular and bone strengthening exercises. So you get a bit of a 2-for-1 with those exercises. The time is going to be activity dependent, and for progression or intensity, you do want to include those elements of progression and challenge. So make it a little harder and see those benefits. Of course, going back to the balance stances, this is a good way to test balance. So as you see your balance is improving, you might go from standing on one leg, holding onto a chair, to taking your hands off the chair, to looking side to side instead of just looking straight ahead. You might take a ball and pass a ball back and forth in your hands while standing on one leg. And the better you can do those activities, we do know that your balance is increasing because you have better lower body strength, you have better coordination, which again, like I said, all contributes to that overall falls and balance. So that is part 1 of the Art of Senior Fitness program design. I'm going to see if we have any questions. Looks like everyone's been a little bit quiet. That's okay. If you weren't able to join on this last day of really the first working week of the year, and you're watching me on the replay, feel free to comment below any questions or anything you'd like to see for future series. So part 2 is going to be next Thursday, and the 16th of January at 12:30 Eastern, 10:30 Mountain, and 9:30 Pacific. Make sure I got all my time zones right there. And once again, we'll be live on LinkedIn and on Facebook. If you have any questions, my email is on the screen there. Feel free to reach out to me. And also, if you've got any interest in enhancing your senior fitness program and you'd like to get some more education, please feel free to visit StrongerYouSeniorFitness.com. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Thank you, everyone.